Hey guys, today I'll be comparing the Moto E and the Moto G in an attempt to find out which phone is best for you. Starting off with the benchmark, here we are using 3D Mark, which is a gaming benchmark. And before we start, let's take a look at the specs. The Moto G has a quad-core 1.2 GHz processor with an Adreno 305 GPU, whereas Moto E has dual-core 1.2 GHz processor with an Adreno 302 GPU. So before I start, I just want to make sure that there are no apps running to keep the test authentic, and hopefully I'll try to hit run at the same time. So the test has begun. This test actually took something like more than 10 minutes for me to finish because there are a lot of things that are being taken into consideration which affects the final score. So here we have the final score. We have the Moto E on the left, which came in at a score of 2218, and Moto G on the right, which came in at a score of 2812. The next benchmark here we are using is Antutu benchmark, and again I just want to make sure that there are no apps running. So for this benchmark, it came in at a final score of 12,712 for the Moto E on the left and 16,158 for the Moto G on the right. So the next benchmark we'll be running here is Quadrant Standard. So just like Antutu benchmark, it tests this entire system's performance like CPU, memory and graphics performance. So it gave a score of 5,279 for the Moto E and 7,970 for the Moto G. The next thing that I want to talk about is display. The Moto E has a 4.3-inch display with a resolution of 540 by 960 at a pixel density of 256 pixels per inch, whereas the Moto G has 4.5-inch display with a resolution of 720 by 1280 at a pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. So if you think about it, the Moto G has a better display in terms of resolution, but in day-to-day usage you really can't differentiate because they both look almost identical. But the viewing angles on Moto G is far better when compared to Moto E, maybe because the Moto G has an IPS display, but surprisingly under bright sunlight Moto E is better than Moto G. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because the Moto G that I tested has a screen guard on it, and I'm not really sure whether that makes a difference under bright sunlight. But in my test, the Moto E is better under bright sunlight. So the next test that I want to do is a browser test. Try and see which device loads pages faster. And here I'm trying to load my website. If you are interested in checking it out, I'll leave a link in this video's description. And as you can see, the Moto E on the left is almost done loading the site, and the Moto G on the right is still loading. And this is a mobile version, so let's try and test with a desktop version. So this time I'll be loading The Verge, which is a really heavyweight site which has really high quality images on it. So let's try and see which device loads the page faster. So as you can see, the Moto G on the right has finished loading the site and the Moto E is still loading. And if you compare scrolling between these two devices, both these devices are really smooth. You really can't see any lag, but in terms of loading pages, maybe the Moto G is a tad bit faster. So the next thing that I quickly want to talk about is the battery life of these devices. Taking a look at the specs, the Moto E has 1980 milliamp hour battery and the Moto G has 2070 milliamp hour battery. And in real life usage, there isn't much difference. Maybe the Moto G gives probably an hour more of battery, but in real life there isn't much difference. The next thing that I want to talk about is camera. Both these devices have a 5 megapixel camera, with the Moto E lacking a built-in flash. And if you take a look at the pictures, this is a picture taken with Moto G and the exact same picture taken with Moto E. But let's take a look at the next picture. And this is a macro shot which is taken with Moto G, and the exact same macro shot that is taken with Moto E. And you can probably tell that this picture is pretty much useless, and it is almost impossible to take macro shots with Moto E. So do keep that in mind. And now, to conclude this video, which one should you buy? Well, it's really hard to say because both these devices in terms of performance are the same, because you've seen the benchmarks. Probably the Moto G gave better scores, but in real life usage both these devices perform the same. For example, if you take a look at the browser test, the Moto G loaded the page faster by 3 seconds, and that's about the same level which the Moto G performs when compared to Moto E. Maybe it does everything 2 or 3 seconds faster. So does it mean that you have to pay around 6,000 rupees extra for a device which does things faster by something like 3 to 4 seconds? I don't really know. You have to think about it. But if you ask me, I would say if you are limited on budget, go for Moto E. But again, the Moto E don't have a great camera. The Moto G is substantially better when it comes to the camera department. So do keep these points in mind before you're buying. So that's about it for the video, guys. I hope you found this video helpful, and please make sure to hit the like button and share this video. It will be very helpful. And make sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are in this video's description. And if you're new to this channel and interested in more videos like this, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks a lot for watching.